I never thought the happiest day of my life would turn into a complete nightmare. My name's Daniel, and this is the story of how my girlfriend's mom tried to destroy our relationship and ended up losing her daughter's trust forever. Sarah and I had been dating for 3 years. We met at a community event, and from the first conversation, I knew she was different. She was kind, funny, and had the most genuine heart I'd ever seen. We quickly became inseparable. But there was one problem: her mother, Mrs. Thompson. From the very beginning, she made it clear she didn't like me. It wasn't that I was rude or careless. I treated Sarah with respect and loved her deeply. But Mrs. Thompson thought I wasn't good enough. She once told Sarah, right in front of me, "You should be dating someone who can give you more. Daniel looks like he still lives paycheck to paycheck." I stayed quiet. I didn't want to start a family feud. Sarah would always defend me, saying, "Mom, he's doing his best. Money isn't everything." Still, Mrs. Thompson kept her cold smile and said, "You'll understand when you're older." Months went by, and I decided I wanted to marry Sarah. I saved money for months, bought a beautiful ring, and planned a surprise proposal at her favorite restaurant. I even invited her best friend to secretly record the moment. But the night before the proposal, everything changed. I was at Sarah's apartment, and she was in the shower when her phone rang. It was her mom. Normally, I wouldn't pick up, but the call kept coming again and again. When Sarah came out, she answered. I could hear her mom shouting through the phone, "Sarah, don't you dare say yes if he proposes tomorrow. He's not your future. He's a mistake." My heart dropped. I pretended not to hear it, but Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "I'll handle it." I said nothing. I didn't want to ruin the surprise. The next evening, everything was perfect. The restaurant was glowing with candles, soft music playing in the background. Sarah looked stunning, wearing the blue dress I bought her for her birthday. After dinner, I got down on one knee and said the words I'd been practicing for weeks. "Sarah, you are my best friend, my peace, my forever. Will you marry me?" Her eyes widened, and she covered her mouth with her hands. She was about to say something, but suddenly, I heard a familiar voice shout across the room. It was Mrs. Thompson. She stormed into the restaurant, heels clicking against the floor, waving her phone and shouting, "Stop this nonsense right now." Everyone turned to look. Sarah froze in shock. Mrs. Thompson pointed at me and yelled, "He's using you. He doesn't deserve you." I stood up slowly and said, "Mrs. Thompson, please, this isn't the time or the place." But she wouldn't stop. She kept going on and on about how I wasn't good enough, how I'd trap her daughter into a poor life. I felt my face burning. The manager tried to calm her down, but she kept shouting until security asked her to leave. Before she walked out, she turned to Sarah and said, "If you say yes to him, don't ever come home again." Then she left. The restaurant went completely silent. I looked at Sarah. Her hands were shaking, tears rolling down her face. I said softly, "You don't have to answer right now." But she took a deep breath, looked me in the eye, and whispered, "Yes, I choose you." Everyone started clapping, but behind her smile, I could see her heart breaking because of her mom. Over the next week, things got worse. Mrs. Thompson started calling my workplace, spreading rumors that I was fired, that I had debts, that I was lying about my job. My boss called me into his office and said, "Daniel, I don't know what's going on in your personal life, but tell whoever this woman is to stop calling." I was humiliated. I told Sarah everything, and she was furious. She called her mom and yelled at her for crossing the line. Her mom just said, "I'm protecting you. You'll thank me later." But the breaking point came 2 days later. Sarah received a message from a private number. It was a screenshot of an online post. Her mom had shared personal details about me on Facebook, calling me a manipulative liar who's trying to marry her daughter for money. Hundreds of people commented, gossiping about us. Sarah confronted her mom again, saying, "Why are you doing this to me?" Her mom replied coldly, "Because I love you." Sarah shouted, "No, Mom, you love control." That night, Sarah packed a small bag and came to stay at my apartment. She was heartbroken but said she needed space from her mom. I didn't want to come between them, but she told me, I just need peace for a while. 3 days later, around midnight, there was a loud knock at my door. It was Mrs. Thompson. Her eyes were red, and she was trembling. She said, Please, let me talk to my daughter. I hesitated, but Sarah came out and said, What do you want, Mom? Her mom burst into tears and said, I'm sorry. I had a panic attack when I realized I might lose you. Sarah was silent. Mrs. Thompson continued, I just wanted you to have a better life than I did. Your father left me with nothing, and I didn't want you to go through that. Sarah said quietly, Then you should have trusted me to make my own choices. Her mom nodded, crying. Then she looked at me and said, I'm sorry, Daniel. I was wrong about you. It was the first time I'd ever heard her say those words. Weeks passed, and things slowly began to heal. Sarah and I decided to keep our engagement small and private. We didn't want drama anymore. Mrs. Thompson eventually accepted that she couldn't control everything. And though things were never perfect, she tried her best to make peace. On the day of our small wedding, she walked up to me, handed me a letter and said, You proved me wrong. Take care of her. Inside the letter, she'd written, I never hated you. I hated the idea of losing my little girl. Thank you for loving her when I couldn't see past my fear. When Sarah read it later, she cried in my arms. Sometimes people hurt others not because they don't care, but because they care too much in the wrong way. And while forgiveness doesn't erase the past, it can heal what's left of the future. So yeah, that's how the woman who tried to destroy our engagement ended up being part of our wedding. It wasn't easy, but it taught us that love isn't just about two people. It's about understanding, patience, and learning when to let go. Ending line for narration outro. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Would you forgive someone who tried to ruin your relationship? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories on Family Tales.